Hi, I'm Dani Walker. Welcome to my channel. I was Miss Montana USA 2018, and I'm here to share with you some behind the scenes about what it's really like at Miss USA rehearsals. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so, as well as hit that notifications bell so you don't miss out on any new episodes. Also follow me on social media at Dani Walker, where you can keep up with all of my travels as well as read lots of daily encouragement. So on today's episode, I'm going to dive really deep into what Miss USA rehearsals are like, because I've been reading so many comments on different YouTubers' videos and people are criticizing the camera angles and the contestants, and everybody's so confused by what they see from just these little clips of behind the scenes at Miss USA. The rehearsal process doesn't start on the first day of Miss USA. When you get to Miss USA, you have fittings and registration that lasts for 2 or 2.5 days. You receive a list of all the things that you have to complete as a contestant, and that's your responsibility to do that. Your house mom will check in on you from time to time to check your progress, but those are things like getting fitted for swimsuit, taking any type of special photo shoot that they want to do, getting your wardrobe approved for competition. After your fittings and registration is done, you're going to start going out and doing activities. So this is really to promote the host city and also maybe any sponsors. So I went out and I got to do a Sherry Hill photo shoot one day. We went to Gators and Friends, and you're going to spend several days doing that. So really just touring the city that's hosting the pageant. After that, your rehearsals are going to start. First, they place all of their rehearsals in a ballroom. For us, that was not in our host hotel, so they had to shuttle us to those every single day. You might have a rehearsal in the morning for maybe 3 or 4 hours, and then you're gonna go to an event after that, and then after the event, they might send you to a dinner, and then you might be pulled for something special that they need you to film as well. It's a little tricky because you only get to leave the hotel early in the morning, and you don't get to go back to your host hotel. So what we usually do is contestants will take a tote bag and we'll have outfit changes in there for our different appearances. Every single night before your day is started, your house mom will go over with you your schedule for the next day, and that's typically going to be different from your roommate's schedule. So you guys are on 2 different timelines. So what's important for contestants to know is to make sure that you ask for clarification with your house mom the night before when they're telling you about your events, so you know if you need to pack a change of clothes for events the next day. I'll be honest, one time after a rehearsal, we had an event, and this is so embarrassing. I literally forgot to bring a bra to the event. I found like sticky boobs in my bag, and I just stuck those on, and they were not the right thing for that outfit. I felt super uncomfortable. For contestants, it's good to keep a list, so actually write those things down write them down the night before, so when you're packing that stuff in the morning to go, you don't miss anything, like a bra, because that's pretty important. If any of this information is surprising you, please comment below surprised so I know. I just want to get a gauge of how many people were unaware of what really was happening in our rehearsals, or who has a completely different idea of what they actually are about because of what's shown on television during those live telecasts. For the first few days of rehearsals, you might be doing a rehearsal in events. As you progress, you're going to be doing rehearsals basically all day. You want to be in clothes that are comfortable and typically that are warm. It does not matter where your pageant is, because ballrooms are really cold most of the time. Even though our pageant was in Louisiana and it was hot and humid for all of our outdoor events, when you go to rehearsals, you really needed an outfit that you wanted to coordinate with the jacket if you wanted to still look cute. Some girls did not care at all. Some girls are just going to be sitting in there and they're just like, I don't care if I have to throw my sweater on over me. Most girls though at Miss USA or Miss Universe, they want to look put together at all times. They want to look like the title holder. In the event that somebody important walks into one of your rehearsals, you want to still be seen as your best self. When you get to these rehearsals, there's a couple things that you have to note. We're not allowed to be on our phones, and typically you're going to walk into rehearsals with flat shoes. I would suggest that for all of contestants. It is literally crazy to be walking around in heels for every single event. Your feet are going to be bleeding or blistered by the end. My feet were bleeding literally day 1. Don't be the girl that goes to rehearsal in her heels every day. Wear your flats to those rehearsals. You can do all of the walkthroughs in your flats, And when it's time, typically Luciera is going to tell you, ladies, put your heels on. The rehearsals that are held at Miss USA, these are primarily for the production crew. These rehearsals are not really for the contestants. So here's what happens. We go in and you either have your phone or your notebook, and you have to pay very close attention because you're not in the venue. You're in an open ballroom and there's tape on the floor. At the beginning of your rehearsal, one of the staff members is going to say, ladies, I'm going to explain to you what this tape means. And if you have a hard time remembering, write it down. This tape is this part of the stage. You can't step here, you can step here. These are taped out, and these will technically be stairs. And this might be a pillar we have on stage or something else, right? Or a host stand. Even though rehearsals last for several hours, a lot of the rehearsal doesn't necessarily affect you because it might not be a point where you're on stage, but you really have to be paying attention so you know what your cues are. That's what they're going to be going over during the rehearsals. People think that because the rehearsals are for hours, that every girl is walking over and over and over and over. Not true. A lot of times they are going to create marks and they're going to say, okay, ladies, you're going to walk this stage pattern once or twice. The rest of the time you're going to be sitting and paying attention, or you're going to be off to the side practicing whatever it is you are going to do. You would be shocked at how much time contestants don't get in a rehearsal to practice things. The entire show for Miss USA is timed. It has to fit a time slot and have room for commercials. So when we're in rehearsals, our rehearsals are timed. So let's say that they practice the opening number and for some reason it's at 4 minutes and 10 seconds, but it needs to be at 4 minutes. We will do that walking pattern over and over and over at rehearsal until it's at that 4 minutes. So that's not for us, that's for production. They care about putting on a good show. So the other thing that happens is all of us are very openly critiqued and criticized. So if you're not doing something correctly, they're going to scream your name from the rooftop and they're going to be like, Montana, fix that arm! Because they want it to be a good show. And you will hear that over and over and over. They want a girl that is good for television. That's really what's going on at these rehearsals. It's not as intense, I would say, as they make it seem on TV. For an example, they will start pulling different contestants during rehearsals for interviews. So I got pulled for a contestant interview. So basically they're going to pull you aside. There's going to be a producer sitting behind the camera and they'll ask you things like, how intense are things today? Do you feel the pressure? And I literally was the worst because I didn't feel pressure at all. I've done so many theater rehearsals and so many sound tech rehearsals. I've gone through intense rehearsals that last an entire week of hours and hours and hours on end and just like running things over and over and over, that when I got to Miss USA, I was like, it's kind of nice. I could just sit half of the time. They wanted that drama for television, so I definitely was not good for TV in that sense, but also I didn't care. I wanted to still be myself. I'm not going to be overly dramatic just for 10 seconds of a clip at Miss USA. That's not really helping me. I doubt nobody's going to be like, that girl was so great. Sign her to our agency. She's the next star of our feature production. Like, nobody's gonna do that. I just cared about staying really true to myself. Back to the whole camera angle thing. A lot of people are like, that girl got more camera time. As I said, everything's timed. When we're doing those rehearsals and they're timing it, there is somebody sitting at the end of the stage. His name was Jeff this past year when I had competed, and he is either going like this to you, or like this to you, or like stop, or go. Jeff is the one that's telling you how fast or how slow to go because he's looking at the clock. It's timed. Every girl gets the same amount of time. The cameras are on a timer. Let's say a girl's walking down the runway and at 10 seconds in, the camera is supposed to hit this one spot. If the contestant's not at her spot that she's supposed to be at that 10 seconds, let's say she's walking really slow and she hasn't made it there yet, the camera, because it's on a timer, is still going to zoom in on that one spot on stage even if the contestant's not there yet. Or if she went fast and passed that spot, the camera is still zooming into that spot and they may have just missed her. The reason that you see some girls more than others is because some girls are better at paying attention to timing and where the cameras are. And I'll have to tell you, it's not easy. When we did our preliminary rehearsal, we got to walk one time on stage in normal clothes, and then the second time we got to walk on stage was in our gown. That's all you got. For those 2 times, there's multiple cameras. We were in the venue by then. So there's cameras all over the front, there's cameras up in the audience, and then there's cameras on 2 tracks beside you on stage, depending on which side you entered on. So if you entered from stage right, your camera was going to be to your left. If you entered from stage left, your camera was going to be to your right. So our camera angle looks were all different. And then also you just had to be able to find those cameras. So for example, you'd walk out and you have to look at the first center camera, right? So you're looking at that center camera and there's a little red light that you can see. But that's hard to see because the stage was like a 70-foot stage. It was as big as the Victoria's Secret stage. So finding that one little red dot beside a camera lens in a dark venue is not easy. And then halfway through, they're like, you're gonna look at the camera that's moving beside you. Find the moving camera. So halfway through, you hit the center X on the stage. That's your cue. Now I'm gonna look at the moving camera and I have to find that red light once again. So I'm gonna follow that red light all the way as I'm walking down the runway, and then when I hit the center of the runway, I'm supposed to look at judges for prelims. For finals, you look at cameras. So for final show, the judges are instructed to only look down at their screens, and the screens are going to have the close-up of each girl. But for prelims, you are making that eye contact with the judges. That's what they told us our year. Things can change, and they often do. Throughout the whole process, you have to actively take notes because they're constantly switching your spots on stage, and you do not want to be embarrassed and yelled at in front of everyone, in front of the production crew, in front of Paula, the president of the Miss Universe organization. You don't want to be yelled at by Luciera. There's all of these moving parts and it's stressful. You're running on only a few hours of sleep, your feet are killing you, you're exhausted, and you're also under pressure from social media, people commenting things about you. You're thinking about staying in the game too and being your best self, and where are the judges, and what turn am I going to do now, and what pose am I going to do at the end of the runway, what's going to be best for me. So there's so much more that goes into this production that people they don't think about it from the contestants' perspective. I certainly never thought about all of those things. So there's a whole lot going on. Another thing that was interesting was that we don't really see what the stage looks like until it's televised. So when we go to the venue, and you only rehearse at the venue, I want to say maybe 2 days before prelims, you're really not in the venue. And when you're there, everything is not put together. It's pretty bare. So we didn't get to see what the stage completely looked like really until prelims. When you see those video packages that play of the contestants, when you see the videos that play before the show, we don't get to see all of those things. So during rehearsals, they might be playing 10 seconds of a clip, but a lot of times they're playing videos from last year's pageant because they don't want any of the girls seeing something from the show and then maybe tweeting about it or posting it on Instagram. They don't want to spoil anything, so we don't get to see a lot. The other thing is that everything looks different in the venue than it does at home. We get to see the whole venue, and then people at home are just seeing this like really zoomed in close-up version of what's going on. So people were messaging all of us asking, what does it look like? We really didn't know. We saw previews of things, but we never got to see everything full out. The other thing is that while rehearsals are going on, sometimes you're sitting in the audience and you're watching random contestants practice. They don't have time for everybody to practice everything, so what they do is they literally will pull from a hat. They're gonna be like, okay, we're gonna pull these 15 girls, and they're gonna, that'll be our fake top 15. Those girls get to practice, you sit in the audience. Other times, everyone is backstage. I don't see what's going on. All I know is that I'm paying attention to the staff member that's standing right beside me, right beside the curtain, that says, go. There might be little monitors beside us backstage, and those monitors might show clips of what people in the audience are seeing on the big screens, but we're not seeing the camera angles and what everything looks like from the audience perspective or for people at home. So it's a very, very different experience. It's really not what people think that it is. It's not as easy to handle as you might think that it would be. All that to say, there's a lot more that goes into this than people would ever think or imagine. There's a whole lot that you don't know that's happening behind the scenes, and I think it's important just to sort of mention that, not only for contestants but for audience members and fans, so maybe you'll go a little bit easier on the organization or really on the contestants themselves, or have a better understanding of what's really happening. If you have more questions, which I hope that you do, or I'm just curious to hear what your thoughts are about this episode, leave those in the comment section below. Also, make sure you're subscribed, hit the notifications bell, and follow me on social media at Dani Walker. Thanks for joining me for this episode, and I hope you're going to tune in for more.